Come on.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the only podcast produced by three two-time winners of IMSA's Spirit of the Race Award. You're tuned into the Check Engine Podcast. We're hosted on Anchor.fm and we are streamed worldwide on all the platforms that you use to listen to your favorites. My name is Nick. My two co-hosts are here after a little bit of time away. Andrew, Tristan, what's going on, fellas?
Things.
Silence.
Andrew's muted, so.
Interesting start. There he is. Andrew, do we have you?
I'm an idiot.
Andrew.
That's how things are going for me. This is all staying in, by the way. That's how things are going for me. I'm an idiot. Actually, what I was saying is that I don't know how things are going because I have no idea what happened to the last week other than everything at work changed drastically at the 11th hour. And then a board meeting was had on Monday, and then our major fundraising event for the year was Thursday. And I don't know. I guess I'm still recovering from that mentally. Just things are not working the way they should be.
Well, we've had technical difficulties trying to get this podcast recorded for you over the last couple of days.
My God.
Spectrum.
A
wind blasted shithole here the other day, and power and internet were just kind of maybe.
Yeah.
Best thing is that was for you.
Yeah.
I just returned to a baseline distrust in my internet access.
That's true. Well, see, that's the thing. I mean, you kind of I live in a city. You kind of live out in the forest. You would think that you would have
out in the middle of nowhere.
Well, it's not
out in the Shire.
Yeah, exactly. You would think that the problems would have been out there, but I don't know, man. Sometimes this has happened, and this year in our house has been weirdly unreliable or less reliable for internet, and I have no explanation for it. Bury that line or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's been a weird couple of weeks, folks. So sorry for not getting you something sooner. But besides that, none of that would have happened if I wouldn't have kind of thrown in the towel when we were supposed to record and said, "Hey guys, I'm sick. I haven't slept in 2 days, so I can't do this right now." So getting over some health stuff, we're pushing through potential tech issues, and we're still going to get you a podcast tonight. Andrew, what are we actually talking about this evening?
Oh, a little this, a little that, and some of the other as well, I think, but I can't promise the other.
No promises.
Well, I mean, stuff has happened. We have championships. We have winners and losers. There's racing news. There's car news. Things have happened lately, which is kind of new.
Car purchase news. Dun, da, da, da.
Car purchase news.
Yeah, we have. A lot of stuff to talk about since we last got together.
Damn, sounds like it. All right, I'm ready.
So no pay slaps tonight because we're just going to talk about whatever until we decide to turn the microphones off. So
until not.
Yeah, exactly. So we're just going to dive into it. You want to start with the car purchase news since that seemed intriguing to people?
That sparked a lot of interest.
Yeah, I didn't know there was any. Or maybe I wasn't paying attention.
Well, I had this. We'll start with the not new part of this. I got the Focus ST back in July, but
right.
The dilemma I was left with was I don't have anything to tow my cart trailer with now. So I was borrowing my dad's vehicle and then at the same time looking for I don't want to call it a winter beater because I want it to be nicer than that, but like a cheaper, used purchase, private seller, pay the guy or girl once. And now I have a winter vehicle / tow vehicle, and I have made that purchase. I've got my vehicle.
What color is your Trailblazer?
False. It is not a Trailblazer, but it's close. I actually had to. I went back excuse me. I went back a few years to the prior generation. It's actually a Blazer, not a Trailblazer.
What? You got a vacuum connected Blazer? One of the what the heck's that? What's the generation called?
I don't know the generation, but it's a 1997 model year.
Oh my!
Wow!
Oh my God!
But hey!
It's been 23 years.
Yeah.
Get this, guys. So, yes, you're right. 23 years old, but it's only got 100. It's only got 119,000 miles on it, and all but one of its years of existence has been in California. So 0 rust. Like, this thing is super clean.
That's weird.
Yeah. So the guy I bought it from.
That's weird.
The guy I bought it from went out to California like 18 months ago and grabbed it. So, I mean, it's got, from the sun in California, like the top of the dashboard is cracked. No big deal. I bought a dashboard cover that's going to get delivered here in the coming weeks. It's got, what else is like used on it, would you say? So the radio buttons, like the fade, the treble, the actual plastic pieces have cracked off. So it's just like the bare button, like that stem. And then the only other thing that you notice is there is a slight alignment issue. I hold the wheel at 11 o'clock to go straight. But
I don't know if it's alignment or just the steering wheel needs to be reset. The Jeep did that every time we changed tires. So.
But mechanically, the thing is 100% sound. No check engine lights, heat works, AC works, 4 high, 4 low, all work. This was one of the loaded versions, so it comes with like the power sunroof in it. The other thing I'll say is that it has like the big 4x4 like off-road tires on it. So there's a little bit of road noise when you're up at like 60, 65. But I'm not really going to drive it that much. So it doesn't even bother me. It's going to do exactly what I need it to do. Immediately after we picked it up, or not immediately, like within a week after picking it up, my dad and I went through and we put new shocks on all 4 corners. We swapped out all of the fluids, oil, diff, automatic transmission fluid, coolant. We put a new belt in it, which again wasn't needed. We just wanted to start from like a baseline, like so we know it's all fresh, basically. And man, I'm super happy with it. It is, to answer your initial question, Andrew, it is white. So between the Focus, Claire's car, and now this, we have 3 white vehicles.
Yeah,
we're all matchy. We're a team. We're matching. So
Andrew, you and I, black team.
That's true. We are. Yes. And then my wife's car is green,
and
Jessica's is
champagne. Champagne.
Oh God. Sorry, there's not much going on there. I guess we should pick a color. Nope.
Yeah. Got to get them into black cars too.
I hate owning a black car. I hate it so much.
Tough to keep clean. I love the way it looks, but it's tough to keep clean. But yeah, so I've got a 97 Blazer from California with 120,000 miles on it, which was about 45,000 miles less than was on my Trailblazer when I sold that a couple of years ago, or when I traded that in a couple of years ago. So just getting warmed up. I'm fired up for this. I think, again, for what it's going to do, it's going to be perfect.
Well, congrats, man.
Yeah, congratulations. I think that'll do what you need.
Yep. Tow a few times a year and get me through winter when there's blizzards. That's about it. So I can just keep the Focus stashed away and tucked in over the winter months. So no payments, just like I said, just gave the guy an envelope and said, see you later. And
was there money in the envelope?
No, it was just an envelope. He hasn't found out yet.
Nice.
They call Nick the Manila Bandit.
Fake name on the title too. It was bulletproof.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, like I said, I'm fired up for it. Not that I want it to snow. Like I'm not a fan of winter, but now right. I'm not afeared of it anymore.
But listen, if it's going to be 28 degrees, you might as well get some joy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right, exactly.
If I'm going to have to suffer through it regardless, make it easier than driving a manual front-wheel drive car.
Although, I mean, that's not the worst option.
Yeah, not the worst. Rear wheel could be very much worse, but I'd rather take all-wheel with much higher ground clearance than what I have.
Fair. Can we briefly talk about something that we were talking about before we started recording here that I'm actually weirdly interested in? We were obviously talking about the time change. And Tristan was saying that he always feels like he somehow has less time. I feel much more comfortable in this time scale than in the spring one.
Why do you say that?
I really have no idea. I feel like the day both moves more quickly and that I have more time at night. I don't know. It just feels more natural to me for no obvious reason.
I wouldn't say that I feel like I have less time. It just gets dark sooner, which makes me, for a while during the change, makes me feel like it's way later than it is. So that's the part I can't handle. Like, the days are already getting shorter, and then you make them seem even shorter, and that's a lot all at once for me to catch up to. But I'm, as we discussed in previous episodes and all the time, I'm a freaking vampire. I don't need more sunlight in my life. Well, maybe some people could argue that I do, being so pale, but I don't want any more. So it's not the fact that it gets dark doesn't bum me out. I have plenty of time to do things at night. It's just like I get off work and it feels like 9 o'clock did over the summer, which it's a lot to wrap your brain around.
That's true.
I will say I welcome this time change over the springtime one because this one actually gains an hour of sleep.
Yes.
But honestly, after the first few days, like I don't even notice anymore. It's just back to normal. I guess I don't have too strong of an opinion on it.
It does mark the beginning of cozy season.
That is super true. And I love that. All the sweatshirts are out, all the warm pants, all that stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think it's interesting because obviously, like, daylight savings time doesn't do anything for anyone, nor does it really help in any way. But I weirdly do feel a difference in like my personal mental comfort between the two timescales, even though it does not make a difference.
It wouldn't bother me at all if we just didn't do this time change.
Yeah, I just don't like change. We all know this.
Change.
But if I had to pick, I do prefer this one, like I said, just because it's like, oh, we actually gain an hour of sleep.
Well, and plus this was always the, I guess like the more exciting night, especially when you were in college, right? You got like an extra hour of bar time if the bar was cool. If not, and they were lame and they just closed at the second
two
one.
Again.
Or two again. Yeah.
Two again. Yeah.
It's always good memories.
Yeah, that was the best. To go from 1:59 to 1 a.m.
Oh, that was just a great feeling.
Oh, the good old days.
Yeah. Anyways, that's enough of that bullshit. Nick.
Car stuff.
Nick, your man did it.
Done did it.
Is it fair to say that it's the podcast man now? Like, have I converted you guys?
Oh, yeah, definitely. You definitely
still
have.
just my guy. Yeah, like I posted on Facebook with the caption, "The dude is unstoppable." Sixth championship in IndyCar for Scott Dixon.
Scott Dixon.
Scott Dixon. Ooh, man, that is a missed opportunity for IndyCar if they haven't started using that yet. We should tell somebody. Good work.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But most in the modern era. So he's only behind AJ Foyt in terms of championships. And as far as wins go, I can't remember if he tied Mario for second or if he surpassed him, but he's either 2 or 3 on every major statistical category in the history of the sport at this point. And there is really no signs of him slowing down either. He's had no inkling or hints at retirement. He's never spoke of what do I want to do after this. He's still going out, like getting sports car rides, as like side gigs. By the way, he also was on the team that won the 24 Hours of Daytona and Petit Le Mans this year in IMSA.
Right, of course.
So he's, 2020 overall has been a really sucky year, but Dixon's had a pretty good one on track. So, congrats to him again. I don't know if you all saw that race. That
I did not.
I saw the highlights.
That race was one of it. It started off. So back up a second here. Dixon needed to finish 9th or better to lock up the championship. Newgarden, who was the only driver who was in within striking distance, and a hell of a driver in his own right, 2-time champion, defending champion, basically had to win and hope Dixon finished worse than 9th. Well, one of them qualified 8th. The other one qualified 12th. Dixon qualified 12th. And basically the directive from the Chip Ganassi pit box was just, Scott, stay on the back of Newgarden. If he passes someone, follow him through. Like, it doesn't matter how high up he goes, as long as you keep him in sight, you've got him. The first 35 to 40 laps of that race were pretty mundane, I would say, a borderline boring. Everyone just kind of strung out riding around, and then all hell just broke loose. Like, Will Power crashed out of the lead. Alexander Rossi crashed out of the lead. James Hinchcliffe, while running second under yellow, spun under yellow and turned perpendicular into traffic. He panicked and just tried to get going right away and then took somebody else out. There was a rain cloud that hung over the last corner on the front stretch only. And it was like deluge of rain for about 10 or 15 minutes in one of the 12 corners. So that was chaos. There were so many yellow flags in a row from like lap 40 to lap 60 that the pace car ran out of fuel. The pace car pulled in, and the race control just told the field, okay, the leader is in control. Like, there is no pace car. Whoever's in first, just don't speed up until we tell you to.
Wow.
It was through all of this crazy stuff happened. Somehow, some way, Takuma Sato wrecked 3 different people. And did not get a single avoidable contact penalty. I don't know how that works. I don't know what the point of having race stewards and officials on site. Like, what's the point of that if they're not going to do anything?
No, I saw at least one of those replays, and everyone was like, what? How? Like, literally how? I don't know.
Like, what made you think that was going to work?
He kind of seemed like a little bit like a hazard that day.
And it's so weird because this is also the guy who earlier this year won the Indy 500 for the second time. So
I was going to say, didn't he win? Yeah, last year or 2 years ago as well.
He won it in 2017 and 2020, or 2018 and 2020.
Yeah, I think it's 18 and 20, something like that. Yeah, 17.
Something like that. So he's 2 out of the last 3 or 4 years. He's won the biggest race in the world. The guy is not, I guess, a bad driver. Like,
clearly not.
But then he just does this stuff, and it's just like, why are you here? Why do people keep hiring you? And then he'll prove me wrong by winning Indianapolis again. It's like, oh yeah, that's why.
Yeah, that's why.
Right.
So, I mean, there's just so much stuff happening in that race. I think the with all the different yellows and all the crazy stuff happening, the Townsend Bell, one of the TV announcers, was like, how many times has Dixon rolled his eyes in his helmet? Like, oh my God, again? But they made it through. Newgarden did end up winning the race, which he did what he had to do. And then Dixon brought home third, which sealed his 6th championship when all was said and done, after all of that other craziness happened. So,
jeez. I mean,
one more to tie AJ Foyt for most all time.
I was going to say, so yeah, one more for most all time. So, all right.
And 7 seems to be the number if you think about it. Like, AJ Foyt has 7. Earnhardt, Jimmy Johnson, and Richard Petty have 7.
Those and Hamilton on 7 will have 7.
Hamilton will tie Schumacher with 7 by the end of this year. And as far as that goes, we're talking about racing. Since the last time we were here, Lewis Hamilton has surpassed Michael Schumacher for most career wins in F1.
Indeed.
So, yeah, 7 seems to be the number for major championships, and Dixon is one off. So,
jeez, I mean, yeah. So, okay, all right. Well, here's the question, right? Useless athlete championship comparisons. Which is more impressive, 6 IndyCar titles or 6 Super Bowl wins?
Ooh.
Brady or Dixon? Who you got?
It's tough.
That's really hard to make a comparison because the sports are so different.
Yeah, it's almost impossible, right?
Yeah, because both, like, you'd kind of say, like, the championship requires, like, not necessarily even winning all the races, whereas, in some seasons in football, getting to the playoffs requires winning all but like 1 or 2 of your games. And then when you get there, like, there's one game where you have to win this one. Like, like you were saying, he took the championship home today by finishing 3rd. Which, like,
he didn't have to win the championship.
Right, yeah. So it's like, it's a cumulative effort, which on one hand says, okay, you have to consistently put in good performances for an entire season, but that's true to even get to the Super Bowl. So, I don't know. As much as we're a car podcast, I would almost say the Super Bowl is probably, I would say, statistically harder, because you have to win a bunch of things to get there and then also win the game itself. And
also, like, Dixon's at 6, and that's not the record yet. Brady at 6 is far and away more than anybody else, right? Isn't he 2 more than the next closest guy? Does Bradshaw have 3 or 4?
I think that's next closest quarterback. I actually think
right.
Players with most. I think there are players with 5, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But
6 rings.
I mean, the driver's kind of like the driver.
Yeah.
The driver's kind of like the quarterback, right? That's
Charles Haley had 5 rings.
Okay. Oh, because he was in San Francisco and Dallas.
Correct.
Back in the 90s. That was a good run for him.
But I mean, I guess if you want to torture the metaphor here, I guess. I
always down for a little metaphor torturing.
Well, I had something while you were talking, Tristan. Oh, it was that. Yes, you can win the championship in racing before the end of the actual season, but I guess if you were to look at it like team effort, including, the car has to run right, the pit stops have to be good, the setup has to be good, blah, blah, blah. To sort of look at it as a team effort versus like individual player, Brady versus Dixon, then I think you could make a reasonable argument that in sense of a team sport, you can make the comparison, but then again, does F1 have they don't have builders championships or anything, do they?
Oh yeah, they have constructors championships.
So this would have been what title did Dixon actually win then? That was team?
That was the driver. So he won the driver championship. There is I'm assuming, although it doesn't get a lot of pub, I'm assuming there's some sort of team championship that Chip Ganassi Racing won. And then IndyCar also has the manufacturer championship, which is essentially just Honda versus Chevrolet engines.
Right. And that's the part that fucks it up.
So I would almost say in racing, you brought up the mechanical piece. So like, would you say that there are more variables outside of your control in racing or in football?
You know, that's so funny because
say injuries in football, right? But like,
well, no, I wasn't going to say that at all. Actually, what I was going to say was that I've been listening to a couple football analytics podcasts, and if you look at it that way, if you look at individual players essentially as pieces who can be graded on a football war scale, then like if you go down the analytical route with especially like Patriots teams, right, where they basically have replacement level role players who excel in the one thing that they do for the plays in which they are used, it's almost run a little bit more like a racing team, right? And again, maybe this is torturing the metaphor a little more, but if you think about Belichick, players like Welker and Amendola and Kyle Van Noy and all of these players, Patrick Chung, who have been Patriots, during this successful run, Rex Burkhead, who was a Nebraska running back and ass at the NFL level until he went to the Patriots. I think he's got 2 rings now. Like there is something maybe that there is a comparison you could make between creating a team setup in football and setting up a car for the person who's driving it with Dixon. I mean, clearly he doesn't drive really like anybody else. His fuel strategies, his stints, the way he drives is different from other people. Clearly there's something in the way he views racing, or his team views racing, that makes him different, sort of in a almost, I guess you could say, Belichickian way.
I would almost, I see where you're going there. Let's just keep beating the shit out of this metaphor. I would almost compare it to like the way he and his engineers approach a race weekend is like a Brady or even like a Peyton Manning pre-snap, right? Mm-hmm. So they're going to go up and they're going to have everything planned out before they beat you before the ball snapped, because they've prepped so much and they've run through all the variables. And I think that's kind of the way.
Sounds amazing.
What?
What?
The way that you said that, it sounds amazing. I hadn't ever thought of it that way before.
I thought you were being sarcastic. I was like, what just happened?
I had never until this moment thought of it that way before, and it sounds amazing.
It does, actually.
I also would love if my football team would ever do that, but it sounds amazing. I had not put those ideas in my own brain that way ever. So
that's kind of how I view it. Like, they can approach a race and say, we're going to go balls to the wall and try to lead every lap and win it, or they can say, look, we know this isn't our strong suit. We're going to take what the weekend gives us. We're going to be smart about it. And maybe, use strategy, fuel, pit stops, and pick up some spots, and just like he minimizes his bad days. That's what makes him really good. Like, his bad days are like 8th, where other people's bad days are 20th.
Right. I mean, when we were at Road America last year, he spun lap 2?
Yep. Was
in
23rd.
Turn 5?
Yep. Was 23rd. Out of 23, and in a caution-free race. Remember that one? That was the one that Rossi won by like 30 seconds, and there was no yellow flags, and full green, no chance to like use any excuses like, bunch the field up. He ended up finishing, I think, 5th.
Yeah, it was like a top 10
that
finish.
Was a little raw speed too, though. He had to hustle to get back, but anyway, We spent a ton of time on this.
Yeah, a ton of time.
Scott Dixon.
Definitely. And future congrats to Lewis Hamilton, who actually, while I was checking on his number of championships and stuff like that, I just saw an article. Just an article that I missed that came out yesterday, apparently. Hamilton said, and why I almost don't want to say this simply because it seems so insane and there's no reason to indulge it. But he gave an interview yesterday saying he's not sure that there's no guarantee that he'll be back in F1 next year.
I don't know why. I don't know why he even bothers saying that.
I don't
unless he can buy this contract.
I think that's part of it, and the team manager as well. But is this even worth talking about?
Well, I mean, let's think about this logically. What else does he have to do? Like, the only reason he stayed up until this point was probably to beat the records that he just did. Right?
Yeah.
So no one's got any more wins than him. He already crushed the pole position record by, God, I think he's double the next closest person or close to it.
Yeah, no, he's way, yeah.
I'm just looking at this right now. He's in
Super Mario territory.
In 263 career starts. So he's driven 263 Formula One races. He's been on the podium 162 of them.
Oh my God.
So he's 162 finishes inside the top three, 100 finishes anywhere else. He's 97 pole positions, 93 wins. He'll probably get to 100 poles this year. I don't think there's enough races left this year to get to 100 wins. That's the last thing he's got to go get is triple digits. And once he hits it, he's still 35. He's got your whole life to live, man. Just get out while you're healthy. And I would have honestly, I would be surprised, but I would have no problem with Lewis saying, you know what, 2020 is my last year. I'm going to go do something else. Sweet, man, you earned it.
But what? No. What's that? What would he do? I mean,
well, he already dabbles in fashion. He's got
that's true.
He's got a clothing line, I think in conjunction, I want to say, with Hilfiger. He announced that that Extreme E, that electric off-road series that starts next year, he owns one of the teams in that. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he's got enough money where he could own teams or, do whatever else, start another business. He can find ways to keep busy.
Well, all right. So what if, I'm just wondering what the reason behind any of this would be. Is the reason that he's concerned that enough team changes will start to impact the results at Mercedes? Is he worried about looking away if he went to a different team and didn't keep winning at the same pace? What's here?
I think he's looking ahead 2 years. Remember this, and I think pre-COVID it was supposed to come into effect next year, but now it might have been pushed to 2022 or 2023, the cost cap.
Yeah.
So with the cost cap coming in, are the teams going to be more equal? Is he going to be racing more than just his teammate in 2 years? Is that cost cap eventually going to apply to drivers' salaries? Right now he's making $40 to $50 million a year. What if they cut that down? Or the teams just have to cut it down because of an overall cost cap? If he's not going to make the same amount of money, if his paycheck's going to get slashed in half or more, is it worth still doing it when you've accomplished everything that he's accomplished?
Yeah.
I think that's
racing his teammate. He's got 78 points on his teammate right now. He's not really racing anyone.
Yeah, that's also true. But yeah, I guess. But what I meant by that was Valtteri's the only one who's kind of close.
No, I know what you mean, but it's just the stats are insane. I mean, I don't know. It makes things all right. Last question about this then. Hamilton leaves F1 this year, next year, or at the 2 year. Is F1 better or is it worse?
It's a good question. I don't think that's. I would say same, because I don't think just one driver having massive amounts of success makes the sport better or worse. I think I would rather see, 4 or 5 teams, which would put 8 to 10 drivers that's basically a toss up every week, than Lewis winning every week. So, but if he leaves and the balance of power doesn't change, whoever sits in his Mercedes seat after he's gone, or maybe it's Valtteri just steps up then, and then he's the guy who's going to start winning everything. So right now, there's nothing to say that Mercedes can't keep doing what they're doing. So the sport probably won't be made any
just continue.
Better. Yeah, just with someone else in the seat, not discounting what Lewis is doing. Please, don't take it that way. But I don't think that just him leaving will make the sport better or worse. I think it's more to do with teams, and to use an IMSA term, which I know F1 doesn't use, like balancing out that performance, like getting him so it's more folks up at the top with a shot. Here's an interesting note on Lewis, though, which I thought was kind of baffling and funny. On Netflix, there's Letterman's got his new show that My Next Guest Needs No Introduction. Hamilton was one of his guests, and he had said on that show that he actually doesn't like to drive.
Well,
and Letterman gave him this really weird look, and he said, no, racing is completely different. He said, I love to race, but I drive on the road as little as possible. I hate it.
I mean, honestly, though, that makes all the sense in the world to me, because when you spend your working hours between 90 and 200, why would you do anything else?
Yeah, I guess 50 miles an hour. Seems pretty
next?
mundane.
Yeah. Oh, 75. Here we go. On ramp.
That's like, Andrew, to draw a parallel. That's like you and I deriving a lot of joy out of making a microwave go.
Yes. That, you know what? That's extremely apt. That's exactly what it is. Turning on the coffee maker. Ooh.
Ooh.
Getting tricky. Set the clock. Ooh, now we're really freaking it.
That's old school, though. Who sets clocks anymore? It's a niche skill.
Get a smart. Get the Alexa coffee maker. Wait, she didn't hear me. It's fine.
Oh God, did you hear me?
Lewis Hamilton becomes F1's highest paid driver with nearly $500 million in career earnings. And I'm sure that's an old article.
And that doesn't even count. I mean, I would imagine that, even F1 that kind of does pay out, I would imagine that, like every athlete, Lewis Hamilton does not make his money at the sport level.
No, there's endorsements too.
Oh yeah, his endorsements are like, whew, he's got the classy endorsements.
Yes, he does.
Classy.
He does. He's got a red private jet. That's like just his. That's just like, that's for him.
Yep. So he has the well-paying endorsements.
Yeah, well, the classy ones. That's what I meant. The rich people ones.
Oh, I see.
Sorry if I didn't make that explicit enough. Yeah, he's got the rich people endorsements.
Well, I feel like some classy stuff, like some classy brands, don't have a lot of leftover cash, whereas like if Walmart were to endorse somebody, they have tons of money. They could give him absolutely tons of money, but it wouldn't be classy.
Could you imagine Lewis Hamilton in a Walmart commercial?
Yeah, right.
No, I refuse to envision this.
Like he doesn't have Nike or Under Armour, but he, like Nick mentioned, he's got Hilfiger and he's got Puma and he's got his own clothing line, like that. That
Monster Energy. What else does he have? Yeah, he's got a few.
See, Monster.
Well, everyone's got
Walmart.
Monster.
Same thing.
Everyone's got a Monster deal these days.
We don't.
I remember days before Monster deals.
I actually don't. I do not remember that. I do not remember that at all.
I remember it. It was Red Bull deals.
Was Red Bull out before Monster?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Red Bull started this whole crazy...
Oh, no, you're right. You're right. Of course.
So, yeah, congrats to Lewis. Congrats again to Dixon. And before we get off of this racing kick and keep the show moving a little bit, one other quick congrats. Guest on our show, Aaron Thielitz, and his co-driver, Jack Hawksworth, in the IMSA GTD category, locked up the Sprint Cup Championship for 2020 at Laguna Seca last weekend. So they have the 12 Hours of Sebring left to try to take home the overall championship, which they are leading by just 2 points. But congrats on locking up one of those championships, Aaron. Hopefully, I think it was good luck sitting down with me in the Style Aesthetic van at Road America. Really propelled him through the second half of the season.
Definitely true.
Gave him the energy he needed.
Yeah, exactly.
In a time when
Monster.
In a time when, COVID was sapping everybody's energy because they couldn't connect with real fans, he found the energy.
That's right.
From us.
That's right.
But wait, this is all the pre-show. All that's great. Congratulations to Aaron and his team. But the most important championship in IMSA for this year, the one that will determine Nick's love for the Corvette C8, has also been decided in favor of the Corvette C8. They also, GTLM also got locked up at Sebring.
At Laguna Seca.
Yes, that's the one.
Yes, that one.
Yeah. Yes, it did. Congrats to the General Motors team.
Nothing on that.
I think it was Jordan Taylor's car.
It was the
3 car, not the 4 car. So that's awesome because Jordan Taylor, again, we'll say it here on this podcast. Fantastic follow on social media. Great dude, awesome driver. So congrats to Jordan and Antonio Garcia. And great job, GM, for building a fantastic car.
It sounds like he's having he sounds like he's the telephone system filling in blanks.
It does. It really does.
General Motors on creating such a great car,
on building a great automobile.
Automobile.
Why are you the way that you are, Nick?
Why is GM the way that they are?
Why are they
calling that thing a Corvette?
Listen, okay. Wait. All right, stop.
No. Do not engage.
Stop this. I have something for this. This is going to go somewhere. Okay, all right. Earlier today, I was walking through the Meijer parking lot, and I saw a car that I guess maybe it's kind of rare. I don't really know. It was an Impala SS from, XYZ years ago. Not an old one, a 2000s era one. And it got me thinking because I had previously been thinking, as I so often do, about Hyundai and their plans for the N division. And that got me thinking, all right, there are 2 pristine examples of 2 different brands establishing performance lines, one sort of out of nowhere and one sort of reestablishing, right? So there's Hyundai building N. There's also Acura building their brand fundamentally, but with the PMC additions, right? You know what I mean? So Acura's trying to reclaim their place as a performance Honda. And that got me thinking. Corvette just won their championship. The C8 is proving to be, if nothing else, wildly popular with reviewers and a good seller. Mm-hmm. But Chevy has nothing to back it up. So what would you do to build a Chevy performance line, and what would it look like?
So this is a question for me specifically or for the group?
I mean, it's kind of for everyone. So let me give you an example. So, what my first thought was, and I've thought this for many years, if you were Chevy trying to build your performance brand, you'd have to throw out the SS badging, not just because of the, Nazi thing, but because no one knows what that means. And they did such a bad job of maintaining any cachet for SS, whether it was the actual car that they tried and failed to make popular, or throughout the years they've had SS Trailblazers and Impalas and all that other stuff. Mm-hmm. But again, you're sort of you find yourself sort of in the BMW arena if you do anything related to Z. But that is kind of what they do now with the Camaro and the Corvette. So my thought would be, if you're going to do this, which they should do, you might have to go with something with some Z cars, right?
So like expand on the ZL1, ZR1, Z06.
Yes, monikers. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the even like the Z71, like the Silverados. Yeah.
What's the ZR2? ZR2. That's the
Colorado.
Yeah, the Colorado. Yeah.
So it sounds like they're already doing it with their Zs.
Maybe, but there's nothing, and maybe it's just because they axed cars, right? But what I'm thinking is now, all right, if we shift our lens over to Acura. And I know they're a quote-unquote luxury brand in name, I guess. But basically what they're doing is painting some of their regular cars and then forcing some people who worked on the NSX to push the buttons for the machines that make the regular cars. And that's how they're building a performance brand. Right? Because those PMC editions are painted in the NSX only colors, and they're built in the factory where they build the NSXs. But of course,
there's not really any performance advantages to them.
Right. I don't think Steve is like hand bolting that MDX together. I think it's probably just going down the line type thing. I mean, but so that kind of begs the question, right? What could Chevy do with their current lineup to kind of jump in on what is now two brands who have remade themselves in the image of performance cars, and not just in name, right? The N cars are now sort of becoming beloved as they make their way across the globe. Acura, all the new Acuras are getting rave reviews, not just because they're painting the NSX colors, but because they're actually now producing a car that someone wants to drive. So clearly it's possible, but why can't Chevy figure it out?
Does Chevy want to figure it out, or is Chevy good with just selling trucks?
Well, I don't know. Ask Buick.
That's not Chevy.
Well, it is, though. I mean, it's all the same. Company,
but like, I just don't think that. Look, Chevy's got Camaro. They do have the Corvette, and this country has shown that it's all about the SUV and pickup truck. So that's where they're going to focus their time and their energy, and I don't think it really concerns them that much right now. It's what the market's dictating.
Okay, sure. However, other companies are putting together or continuing their existing Skunk Works performance divisions on the SUVs.
Yes, exactly.
It's like let's say we're weird. We don't, we're the only ones who want cars. Okay, I get it, but you can apply all of this same logic to well done, performance SUVs. You've got Dodge turning SRT loose on the Durango and the Jeep. You've got the ST, both Explorer and the Escape, Edge, the Edge ST.
Just say nothing of the Raptor, that idiotic Dodge truck.
Yep. The T-Rex, which took me way too long to figure that out.
No, I needed that illustrated. I feel
so stupid though. It's like, oh, it'll beat a Raptor, and I'm like, a TRX? Oh God! And I said it out loud, and I was like, "It's T-Rex."
No, I had to see the Easter egg drawing. I did.
Yeah, but they're turning loose their performance divisions on their trucks and SUVs, which okay, we can change our thesis here to say, what would you do as a performance division even if you weren't allowed to mess with any cars because your parent company doesn't make them, that kind of thing.
And also, it's not at all reasonable to say that Chevy doesn't care about this. I mean, you have to think of how much they care about the performance of their cars. They had to make the Chevy Corvette mid-engine because they did too good on the Camaro. And people loved it, and people bought it. And also they wanted the car to be competitive in its actual segment. But that's an aside. They do care about this. And throughout their history, they've tried to make performance-y editions of varying different kinds of things. And it seems to me like they almost fainted at what Dodge came back into the market doing well, which is putting their biggest engines in their mid-tier price-wise car. So for example, the not the SRT Durango, but the RT Durango gets the big engine and 7 million horsepower, and it's like $45,000. You know what I mean? And then there was a time where Chevy kind of offered that, and they keep doing it and stopping. They are obviously the company that is the epitome of half measures. And I think there's a way to do it where you're still kind of doing a half measure, but I don't know what it looks like for Chevy. And this is what kind of piqued my interest in it, simply because no matter at this point what you do to their existing lineup, it won't move the needle, right? Because as far as I can tell, the people who buy Chevys are the people who bought them last time. And
I have a hypothesis here, and this may apply exclusively to me. I don't know why, but let me throw it out there. This is what I like when you floated the idea of, General Motors, specifically Chevy performance division. I thought of it as like a whole separate division, much like Holden Special Vehicles, Quattro GmbH, the SVT team at Ford, that kind of thing, where like it's not something that's like available on every vehicle in your line. It's like a few vehicles that have had the absolute bonkers engineers at some, laboratory where they're all, tucked away in their padded rooms at night, after they're done messing with the cars, and just turning out these absolutely, stellar examples for, the relatively normal cars. Like that's how you have to draw people in if you're, Chevy, who, like you mentioned, a lot of people just bought a Chevy because they bought a Chevy before them, and before they did it, their dad or mom bought one. Like, to draw in new people, you have to be, or at least have an aspect of the company be the antithesis of half measures. bring a group of people in as crazy as the AMG engineers, like, hire in new talent if you have to, even if there's nobody in your company that can do it. But I argue that there is, based on the ZL1 Camaro more than anything else. Like that's the one glimpse of that mindset that I've seen from Chevy. And I think that would be able to, with the right advertising and the right name, would be your entree into, having this prestige performance division of some kind. I don't think you can just slap, like you mentioned, because they've so diluted the value. I don't think you can just slap an SS badge on it anymore and say, look, it's special. You have to pitch an entire origin story from beginning to end of, we wanted to get back to making performance vehicles. We set up a whole performance team, whatever that may be. There's something to, the ring of special vehicles, be that the special vehicles team from Ford, SVT, or HSV for Holden special vehicles. Make these feel special and make them be special. And that's how you're going to draw people in.
I disagree with a lot of that, actually.
I'm sure you do. Like I said, that's for me.
Yeah.
But that's, I feel like you need to almost disassociate from your brand if you're Chevy, because of the damage that's already been done to it.
So let me ask you this. So we're talking about AMG and all these other tuner arms of these companies. What about Callaway? Because technically they're doing just that, and they're like an unofficial partner of GM, because all they do is they redesign and they just make whoop-ass versions of GM cars. There's a Callaway Corvette, there's a Callaway Camaro, a Callaway Colorado, a Callaway Tahoe, a Callaway Suburban, even a Callaway CTSV. So they're getting the same type of treatment as it would go through like an AMG or something like that.
Well, yeah. I guess my issue with this approach for Chevy is that they already have two pathetic failing luxury brands, and they don't need a third. And on the flip side of that, they've been beaten soundly at their own at the half measure game by Dodge. So I guess what I'm saying is, to my mind, they can't slap badges, and they also are not as easily able to just create a brand and have people believe in it. Think of the stupid Cadillac Blackwing, and oh my God, the way people go on about that thing. Oh, it's going to have magnesium wheels. By the way, that is that car's crowning achievement. Not the engine, not the manual transmission, not 600 horsepower. Magnesium fucking wheels. Thanks, GM. Very cool. You did it. So they have. It just seems like they have no clue what they're doing for any of this stuff. So if you come in with another GM brand at $75,000, $80,000 for a quote unquote performance car, it's just not gonna work.
I mean, you're under the assumption that this idea would require the current minds at GM to execute it.
Yeah.
When you said, how would you do it? Which means I would be doing it, which means hopefully I would pull in more marketing people to actually do it properly.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
It's like, how would I go about doing it? Not the stupid way GM does it. And it wouldn't be a whole other brand. That's the thing. It would be somewhere in between the, bonkers third party tuning group, like Mercedes has, is it Brabus?
Yes.
Is like their over the top, like, let's make a 2,000 horsepower, German sports sedan that, like, you can drive 1,000 miles before the supercharger blows it up. Like, there's that, and then there's AMG, which is in-house, but when you see those letters on the back, on everything from the A series up, it means something special. Now, yes, you're going to have to start from scratch. You're going to have to earn that. But I think if they do the right thing by, like, creating this division and making that, like right now, there isn't, like, Chevrolet racing in sports cars. It's Corvette racing. And, like, so you have to, with the Corvette that I know might lose people like Nick, but has, won its division this year and has a long history of winning the division it's in, you run the Corvette under, I'm just going to borrow, the HSV name because it's shorthand for what I'm kind of looking at. Yep. It's like, it'll be HSV racing. And you bring that into NASCAR, where, like, the performance parts that they use in NASCAR are engineered by HSV, and you, like, put that branding everywhere, and you earn equity by saying the people that brought you the parts of Chevy racing that you really like are the engineers we're using for this job. And then you might be able to sell it to people because it's not establishing a new brand. It's saying, we're going to cut off this slice that you really, really like and feed it money and marketing and way more engineering leeway and try to grow something that you like all the way across the brand, as opposed to just in this one aspect.
I like that. We don't have to stick around on this too much longer, but two questions I have. The first one is the Veloster and a half measure? And the second one is, the second one's less important. Let's start with that one. Is the Veloster and a half measure? It's not the fastest car in the class. It didn't even come in the first series with any of the like market level technology features, right? No, blind spot detection, none of that shit that's now on this new one. I mean, Hyundai put that car out at the cheapest end of the market with the lowest amount of horsepower ish in the 250, 275 gets a little more complicated versus, the Type R. And regardless of any BOP happenstance, crushed a season of racing.
More than
right.
one.
I don't think it's a half measure. I think you can make choices and have that be 100% the measure you want to take. And to me, half measure always feels like, well, I want to do this, but I was only able to do this.
Yes.
And I think they wanted to get a car to market on time for a racing series at a price point they wanted. And they did that, and it was great. And I think that is 100% mission accomplished. Now, you can retarget stuff. You can say, okay, this is the first one. We did it this way. This next time, based on what we've seen, we know people want this technology. They want more power. They're willing to pay a little more for it because, this isn't the case, in the N specifically, but like the GTI and a couple other cars in that class, it's like they're willing to pay more. Like 90% of people who are buying these cars add this package. We'll make that standard. Or the rest of the cars in our lineup got all this stuff. We have the time. Let's put it in. And just because it wasn't everything it could be doesn't mean it's not everything you wanted it to be, and you can change what you want it to be year over year. So no, long way of saying I don't think it was a half measure, and isn't still.
I think that's a good answer.
Not at all.
Interesting. Oh, I remember what the last thing was. All right. So if you were going to do this right now, what's the first Chevy vehicle you put some kind of performance package on to build? What's your foundation to build this line?
Tristan, if you got an idea, go ahead. Let me think on it.
I need to even pull up what all the Chevy vehicles are.
I have two thoughts.
So give me some time. Go ahead.
I have two thoughts. I think if you want to copy the Acura approach, you immediately go to the C8 and link that with which one's is the Equinox the mid-size SUV?
It's the Trax. The Trax, the Equinox, and the Blazer are actually kind of similar.
Oh shit! No, Blazer, 1,000% the Blazer.
Yeah. That's where I was actually going to go with a combination of things. I know it's I know it's a well-loved nameplate. But I think, like you mentioned with the SS badge, outside of any, because Nazis thing, just because SS has been so diluted, and SS got slapped on this car all the time, and it was never as special as you wanted it to be. I think you make some facelift changes and you apply all the tweaks that your performance brand is going to put on this vehicle and rename the Impala to something else. Because the question was spur of the moment, I don't have a good answer for the name. But you make it the, special performance division whatever new car, and it'll have its like when they went from Cobalt to Cruise. A lot of the underpinnings are the same, but it's a new name, it's a new attitude for the car, and it's the way you tie this sedan, like Acura is doing, to the performance car. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I went. It was a direct Acura ripoff / comparison, which is bring it down to the sedan level, because Acura, because that's where they started with the RSX? No, what was it? The number TSX?
TSX,
right?
Yeah, TSX.
Yeah, is where they started all of this of tying the performance cars down to kind of their quote unquote more normal cars, even though Acura is the performance division anyway, but. Move to a car. But yes, if you're going to do an SUV, I 100% say it should be the Blazer.
Definitely.
I like the Blazer idea. This may just be me caught up in recent events, but Toyota has been working on a Gazoo Racing Yaris. Mm-hmm. What if Chevy goes that route and does a super, super high performance version of the Spark?
Yeah, I think it would have to be. Wait, no, I guess the Spark's smaller than the Yaris, right?
I think so. We'll see the Spark or the Sonic.
Sonic, maybe.
The secret of
you can do the Sonic hatch, yeah.
See, now that obviously would be selfishly my end goal. I would love to live in a world where Chevy, anywhere on the face of the goddamn planet at this point, has a genuine, nice, high quality hot hatch. I mean, that's only good for everyone. And they just refuse to do it because they hate fun.
Only good for everyone.
But,
the Sonic RS has 138 horsepower.
Don't ever talk to me about this. Don't ever talk to me about Sonic ever again.
Unless they soup it up.
I just don't want them to call it that. I mean, they only call that because the Aveo name flopped so hard.
Right, and they didn't do very well with the Sonic either.
Right.
So you'd need a lot of rehab on that particular nameplate, or much like the Malibu, drop the performance version on the world with the new nameplate.
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
I had one more wild thought about the way GM could do this. And it would be a completely different approach from the way anyone has done this so far. But they almost started it with the Blackwing thing. Mm-hmm. Imagine a world where GM comes out and revives the utterly amazing Turbo 6 logo. They build themselves an amazing Turbo 6 engine. I mean, they have some in the tuck, but they bring back the logo from the GNX and they use that as their performance branding across cars and trucks. So whether that's, however they want to name those packages, maybe it is just something like the Turbo 6 performance package, that logo on your Colorado, on your Equinox, on your
Blazer,
right, on your Blazer, on your whatever car they have left, if any, that lets people know, hey, listen, we got extra horsepower here, we got handling tuning, we got interior refinements, we got all of the stuff. But that Turbo 6 logo is so amazing and so horrendously underused in the history of auto. It's criminal. And I guess you could put on a Buick too, but no one cares about Buick. But I mean, what if they tried that? What if they tried to define a brand by attaching it to an engine? I mean, how much more American could that be?
Oh, yeah, it's very Volkswagen. Sorry.
Oh, shit. It is.
The VR6.
Well, it's time to try it again. I forgot about the VR6.
Whoops.
Because that went on any vehicle that ever had one in it.
That is true.
Probably.
Well, I was thinking of, back in the old days of cars, you talked about your American muscle car by the engine that's in it, and now Dodge.
It's a 440 or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. The 392 cubic inches, and no one knows what that is, by the way. But I don't know. That's kind of out there, but that was the other idea I had, simply because I love the Turbo 6 logo so much.
That's not bad. You have my attention there for sure.
Oh, I feel good about that. I don't know. That was just something I was thinking about today. And yeah, I think there's a million ways that you could do it. And there are so many ways, all of the ways we described, in which Chevy will not do it.
Pretty much any way we described, they will.
And that's kind of sad, right?
It is. It's unfortunate.
Oh, right. We briefly talked about the T-Rex before, and
hey, Andrew, before we get into the next topic, do you want to just let's quick remind people how to get a hold of us?
Oh yeah, right. Of course.
We don't have a break in this episode, so we just got to get this in. So, folks, you can, before we get into this T-Rex topic that Andrew wants to bring up, I'm going to put him on pause for just a second to say you can find us on the web at checkenginepodcast.com. You can find us on Facebook by searching Check Engine Podcast. Andrew is in constant arguments on Twitter, and if you want to be a witness to that, Andrew, they can find it where?
At Check Engine Pod.
And Tristan, where can they find us on the Gram?
The Gram. Also, you can find us by searching for at Check Engine Pod.
So be sure to like, follow, share, post, DM. Just reach out how and when you can. You can ask questions for us to answer on the air. You can let us know what you like or dislike about these episodes. Give us ideas for topics that you want to hear us discuss. Let us know your opinion on some of the stuff we're talking about. Like, what would you do for a new Chevy Performance line. Thanks in advance for any of that. Now back to the show. Andrew, your topic was on the T-Rex.
On the Turks.
Turks.
We have a T-Rex.
Yeah, we have a T-Rex. So this thing came out, and this is not the point of what I'm going to say, but maybe it's the COVID quarantine driving all of this dry humping surrounding off-roaders, because no one cares about this thing, and yet everyone is so fucking active about it. All right, here's what's important. The TRX has an engine. It's big. It makes a horsepower. Here is what's terrifying. The MPG.
What MPG?
I made a passing reference of this an episode or two ago.
But these are some fucking excursion numbers, man. 10 and 14.
That's average.
When does Chrysler care?
Well, the average is 12. The combined score 12. Yeah, 10 and 14. Premium gas.
Yeah. Yep.
And I got this from Road and Track, so I'm just going to cite a little bit of their math, which I had completely forgotten about, right? Fuel economy scales are not linear. As you get the lower ratings, the differences will cost you more. So a truck that gets 5 miles per gallon will cost twice as much as a truck that gets 10. But a 25 MPG truck will only save you 25% compared to a 20 miles per gallon truck. So the lower score you get, essentially, there's probably a cutoff point. I think it's probably like 20 MPG, right? Below that, or 15 MPG. Below that, the cost does not go up in a linear fashion. Mm-hmm. It basically ramps itself up.
Since when does Chrysler care about gas mileage, though? They're the ones who are pumping out 900 horsepower demons.
I know. But
it follows in line with everything they have been doing, so it doesn't surprise me at all. The people who buy these aren't going to care.
But don't you feel like you've seen this movie already? Don't you feel like in 9 months, when the economy finally hits the bottom of this free fall, there's just going to be tons of SRT Durangos and what is this thing called? Dinosaurs sitting on parking lots, and people are going to be like, "What? All these trucks aren't selling." That'll be half. And the other half will be, they get 10 miles to the gallon.
It'll depend on if the economy hitting rock bottom means that gas is cheap or not.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I don't. I'm usually not remember the history of what happened guy, but I really feel like I'm just watching this happen, and I've said this since the stupid Ford announcement. Like, no, we know already. You did this already, and I really remember what happened when we reached this. There was a point right before the housing market crash. There was a point during the last explosion of SUVs and big V8s where cars with this type of number, or even single digit numbers, perish the thought, were commonplace. And that was right when the H2 came out. Mm-hmm. It's not that at this point, it's no longer that I just feel like I've seen this movie before. Now it's somewhere beyond that. It's like, oh, we're really just doing the same thing on a much shorter time scale.
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one who cares.
No, I think I'm a combination of both. Like, I see the utter fallacy involved here of like the decision making, but I also don't expect anything different from Mopar like Nick does. It's like, well, yeah, of course they were going to do that. What'd you expect? Like Like I'm not mystified by it, but I know why it's stupid. You know, like, kind of in the middle.
I honestly don't even have an answer for that. That's the thing. I don't know what I expected. So, what should I have expected? I really don't know. I feel like you make me feel like an idiot when you say it that way.
Not the intention, but I mean, you know, it's just from the company that, other than in the imported engines from Fiat, is allergic to anything under 6 cylinders. Mm-hmm. You know, and I guess I'm more probably tied in to that. I mean, from an American car standpoint, my entire lineage is Mopar. Like, it has been a long time, but like my dad had a little, you know, glint in his eye when I brought a Jeep home. You know, like, you know, there is Mopar in his history before he went to German cars. So maybe I just pay more attention to this stuff, but it's like, they're the company touting the, you know, efficiency and, you know, goodness and wholesomeness of their V6s. Like, I didn't, yeah. So maybe that's where I'm coming from, is like, it's clearly not a surprise to me, because I look at everything they're doing and how environmentalism does not factor into it at all, and neither does consumerism, you know, from the standpoint of favoring your consumers with good things, showering your customers with benefits.
Right, consumerism meaning giving the consumers anything approaching what they would like.
Yes, mm-hmm. They give people what they like, but they are entirely, like, there's one end of the spectrum where you know, it's not the same, you know, industry at all, but there's like Apple, which says, we're doing this, you're gonna like it. There's that famous Steve Jobs quote about people don't know what they want until you show it to them.
Right.
And whether that's true or not, that's the philosophy there. Mopar is, people know what they like, and there's no reason to show them anything else, because then they might stop buying our cars. Like, you know, it's all people who value these high displacement, you know, big steel block engines, and, you know, they're selling to that owner base, and they don't feel a need to change. So,
and it is getting weird now that you mention it, Andrew, because we're seeing, you know, what you mentioned with Ford, like, hey, haven't we seen this play before? And now with the trucks here, and even Hummer now coming back, like, it's like we're looking at them.
Can we sidebar for that? By the way, can we sidebar for
creepy?
It's that fucking disaster.
Creepy.
Did you guys hear that?
They're changing everything that they.
Yeah. Which I mean, that's in a long line of, you know, traditions of electric vehicle companies changing things entirely between announcement and launch. You know, it's already been, you know, leaked is strong, but more or less said that the Cybertruck isn't going to look that way when they release it. Like,
well, all right. I mean,
you know, it's like, and the Rivian doesn't look like it did when they announced it.
Oh, really? See, I didn't hear that one.
Yeah, I think it was after the feedback from the Cybertruck, they went a little bit more traditional than they had been considering. I guess nothing like is a little strong, but there were changes made, and changes in like advertising features and that kind of thing. It's like, oh, I guess people just want regular trucks. Yeah, we can do that.
Like regulatory body was going to step in on that type of shit. But I mean, yeah, right. I can understand that in the case of the Cybertruck, because they rolled out a Halo 1 Warthog and then jebbed it. Please clap. And no one did. Except for the Tesla fanatics. And they heard that for a week and then realized that they were getting destroyed on Twitter, which was totally deserved. But the Rivian, I thought, was, I mean, maybe not normal is the right word, but regular enough to sort of.
It was. Yeah. Yep. And like I say, it was more of a minor tweak. I think I overstated when I said that it had been, changed entirely.
Right.
I guess that's
it
not. It
sounded better for the podcast. I shouldn't have ruined that.
Technically accurate.
But so here's my thing. Here's my thing about Hummer doing this. I mean, obviously, my initial impulse was right. For anyone who was dumb enough to order in the second wave, you're never seeing that car. You're never, ever seeing that car, you idiots. Because the first wave's not going to come out, and they're definitely not going to have a second. But outside of that, if this is how your product release went, you did not, in fact, have a product to release. And therefore, you wasted everybody's time.
That's true.
Why did they do this?
Yeah. Interesting, kind of, a sidebar within a sidebar where we're talking about these electric SUVs and trucks. I have been watching The Long Way Up, the new Ewan McGregor series about him riding electric motorcycles from Tierra del Fuego to California.
Oh, yeah.
And that's been interesting. All the things you assume and fear come true. Range anxiety is constant. But just an interesting feature of the Rivians, which, not eminently useful in day-to-day use, but if this were something like an expedition vehicle or, used in more remote locations, they can be tow charged.
Really?
Yeah. So they had a portion of it when they were kind of showing what the setup was going to be like. Like, here we're building these trucks specifically for you. They got like VIN number 1 and number 2. And they were building them. It's like, look, they have this ability, and they cut to a clip of them going around like an oval track being towed by a regular truck, like a Silverado or something. And it's like, you might think that it's been broken down. That's not true. We're actually testing the tow charge ability.
That's fun.
So you can actually just turn the electric motors around and recharge the batteries by towing them, which... weird thing, but it's like, what, is that an electric car thing that I just don't know about? And if not, that's really cool that someone decided to do that.
Well, wait, how do you turn the motor around?
I mean, not actually turn it around, but like hybrid cars do, where it's like when you brake, you recover energy.
Oh, right.
That kind of thing. So you turn the wheel motors into generators instead of motors, and you tow charge it, which, like, yeah, you're buried in the middle of nowhere away from any charger. You can tow it part of the way, and you've got, you put some distance back on it. Find some nice local man to hook you up to the back of his pickup truck, and you'll go further than that because you can charge while you're towing. I was like, that's kind of nice. They also advertised it as like like when you hook it up to like an RV, like people who go RVing and those giant ones, and they tow vehicles behind them. Uh-huh. It's like, yeah, when you get to where you're going, your electric vehicle is charged.
That is quite cool.
Like, yeah, that's cool. So, I don't usually think electric vehicles are all that cool, but I was like, that's an interesting feature that I had not seen advertised anywhere in any of their literature, but I saw it on this show, and I was like, I wonder if more vehicles have that, and I just didn't know.
I found myself thinking about, I've been thinking about electric vehicles more and more since I've kind of decided that I feel like my next car should be at least partial hybrid. Uh-huh. And the more I look into electric cars, right, the concept of a pure electric car, the less I'm actually sold on it, and the more I think that they are status symbol toys for the few people who can afford them rather than anything genuine. Does that sound weird?
Yeah, I think that's what they are now. I don't entirely discount the possibility that with changes to capacitor technology instead of batteries, prevalence of charging stations, that kind of thing, I don't think that could change. But I agree that's what they are right now.
I feel like it should work the opposite way, right?
Yeah, though, people who have yeah. As I look, I feel that's definitely the way it is. I come more and more to the conclusion that that's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Because like for a while there, I was like, because like a couple people at my previous job where we were not paid especially well were looking into buying them, and one actually did. But then you look at it and it's like, yes, but that's really, like you said, because you have the luxury of buying one, because you do have enough money that you can spend more than you would pay to just get a regular car, and you have the luxury of working somewhere where your commute ends at a level 2 at least charging station.
Right.
So you can drive your entire electric range to get to work, charge it, and then go home. Literally, if you change jobs, this car, the whole idea implodes.
Right.
And that's kind of what I'm talking about, where it's like it's the luxury of owning one of those because you live in the right location, you work at the right place, and you have enough excess income to buy one. And
right.
That's where I agree with you. Now, like I said, if charging stations become more prevalent, capacitors become the preferred energy storage, like I have no inherent feeling that electric motors in a car could not be the way that the car of the people of the future is constructed. But it's definitely not the car of the people now. It's the car of the people who have the luxury of affording them.
It gives me the exact feeling. All of these launches now, after, limited exposure, obviously, to any part of this, it gives me the exact same feeling as timeshare sales pitches. Like,
I can see that.
Yeah, but like to make that metaphor really stick, they need to rent you one for a few days after you sat and listened to the pitch for free.
Well, I feel like they will. I feel like if I watch one of these web conferences, some dickhole's going to show up with a Model 3 in my driveway and be like, hey, you watched our webcast. You must be interested in one of these. And I'm going to have to shoot him.
Well, don't do that.
It's the only option. They know where I live now. I don't know, but it's
either that or move. I wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah, I don't want to move and get rid of all our boxes.
Can you report spam?
Oh God! But it does feel like that. Maybe that's a better metaphor there, Nick. It feels like dick lengthening spam email.
Yeah. That's exactly
only for those who can afford it.
Did you know electric car plus 35,000 miles in your commute daily? Click here to find out more.
Electric cars in your area anxious to meet you?
Electric truck, 6-ton weight. Yes! Exclamation points. What?
How do they know?
They give you a salutation with a random name. Hey,
Greetings, Nunk. It's not even a person's name.
Or Anru.
I don't know. I maybe it's just current times, and no commentary here on anything based on that. But I feel like I'm less and less able to believe or deal with a lot of the messaging that I see, and again, not related to political advertising specifically, because all of these modern technology, electric car, webcast, broadcast, any other type of cast have all the same feel to me, and I don't necessarily know what it is. It's just unbearable.
Yeah, I'm over it. In a big way.
It's just, who are you? it's just, for me, it's always the question of who are you selling to?
Right. Never me.
It would seem almost never anyone.
Yeah, actually, yeah. If we take it back just briefly, all right. Cybertruck, TRX, both seem to be marketing to almost nobody, but they're
very niche, very, very niche.
But I guess
that goes back to my heretical, antithetical viewpoint that Nick is going to burn me for. I really have lost the thread on why people spend so much on advertising in the traditional sense. Like, I get like promo stuff, sending products to, magazines, bloggers, whatever, to like have the opinions out there and get the facts of the object, whatever it might be. But I cannot tell you the last time an advertisement like swayed me to buy something that I was not considering already, because I had heard about, hey, this type of thing exists, from like, word of mouth advertising. But like printed ads never sway me personally.
Wait, I know the last time.
So the question is, who are they advertising to that this is, that it's making it to me? Because someone is getting this information, but it's never the stuff that I'm seeing that's swaying me. And what were you going to say?
I know the last time it worked on me and a large majority of people. Dollar Shave Club, the original Dollar Shave Club advertisement. That was a good advertisement.
It was. Yeah. It just feels
I don't remember the last time it worked on me either. It's a good point.
Super Bowl ads might as well just be replaced with people who are trying to break into the entertainment industry, making ads for fake products to show you how funny, clever, whatever they are, so that they can get jobs. Because
it should be SNL sketch commercials.
Right, it doesn't sell me a product.
Nope. Not even a little bit.
That I completely agree with.
I have not once looked at, no matter how entertaining the commercial was, I did not go buy that product because the commercial was entertaining. They made me laugh. I need this hemorrhoid cream. like never made that connection.
But all right, so to bring it briefly back, and I don't necessarily know, I mean, Tesla doesn't have like commercials, but obviously we know that the primary vector for these cars and for most advertisement products is social media, right? So we say, or we think that the Cybertruck, the Hummer, and the TRX are niche products. However, given the amount of advertising revenue placed into each of those things, the implication is that we are wrong. But the observable facts, Hummers being produced in single-digit quantities, and
we're going to sell 6.
Right, and the Cybertruck being announced 9 years before they even had a shell built for the thing. We should be wrong about that, right? We should be wrong, and these should be the market leaders. No?
I mean, we should be, but we're not.
I don't know anymore. That's what makes it so confusing for me.
They also haven't launched the actual product, so it's hard to say that they're going to be market leaders. Like, I guess time will tell. But like, as of right now, they're pushing it as such, like that is going to be market leader, in every garage in suburbia. But
right,
as you mentioned, this could be years before we actually see a physical copy anywhere. So, like, it's too early to tell. But I would venture to say that we're right. at least at this point.
I'll say that.
I'll put that claim out there for now.
I don't know. It's all a mystery to me, but I am definitely glad that I'm not the only one who's suffering from some kind of existential exhaustion from all this crap.
Yeah, burnout is real at this point.
Definitely.
What do you think, boys? We're at about an hour 40 here.
Yeah, I think that's about enough.
Yeah, anyone else have any big pressing topics they want to get to? I almost said toppings. Topics they want to get to?
Pepperoni.
Always a pressing topping.
No? We good? We're ready to get out of here?
Yeah, we're good. Get us out of here.
Well, then that is what I shall do. Thanks for sticking with us today, everybody. We appreciate you listening, but we don't want you just to listen. We want to interact with you. We already mentioned how to find us online not that long ago. While you're on your certain platforms listening to our casts here, be sure to leave us a review, preferably a good one, and or hit that subscribe button for us. It's free, and you'll get notified of any new content that we put out. If you're really into what we're doing and you'd like to support this podcast monetarily, you do have two options for that. You can go to patreon.com/checkenginepodcast, or you can go to our homepage on Anchor. It is anchor.fm/checkenginepodcast, and you can hit the support button towards the top of the page near our logo. Every cent pledged is put towards making this podcast a better experience for you, the listener, and none of it goes back into our personal pockets. So again, thank you in advance for that. Gentlemen, who or what are we giving a shout out to before we get out of here?
I just want to thank my wife. It's been a while, but she's been absolutely killing it with her baking company, Sunset Grove Baking. Check them out on Instagram, Facebook,
hashtag vote for Meg.
Yeah, and yes, that was the specific reason. She is in the, oh goodness, is it the Greatest Baker competition? I think is the name of the actual. Anyways, on her Facebook page, on her Instagram, you will find she's in the contest regional for now. And then hopefully she's in line to get to the next level that I don't necessarily know what it is, but a national level competition for Greatest Baker, which is really cool. And yeah, I mean, she's just been doing a great job with that. So thanks to her for doing her hardest work to make a better life for us, literally.
Good one. Tristan?
Knowing I will get this edited and out by tomorrow evening, the eve of election day. I would like to thank anybody who got out and voted. I know that we don't try to hide a lot of our opinions politically, but I will keep this particular message to the fact that if you got out and did your civic duty and voted, thank you, even if you did not vote for who I voted for. It's important. It's how this country works. And, thank you for voting. But I will say you get 2 thank yous if you voted for the same guy I did.
That's funny.
That is good. I would like to thank Red Bull and cold medicine, because
that is a combination.
Well, that is the combination that kept me going for pretty much the entire back half of last week, Wednesday through, I'd say, early Saturday.
That just sounds like a heart attack.
So did you consider stopping before your heart made you stop?
Hey, I'm here recording, aren't I? I got this all under control, guys. Calm down. I appreciate it.
Anytime I want.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, future.
I appreciate the fact that you're so concerned. That means a lot to me. But I'm here. I survived. But yeah, thanks to Red Bull for keeping me awake. and cough medicine and cold medicine for keeping me functioning over the last couple of work days there before the weekend. So I had time to actually sleep and recover. So thanks to those two things. And as always, thank you listeners for your continued support. We love to hear from you. We love recording this for you, and we cannot wait to do this again. Until then, take care.